Hey everybody, welcome to this week's At Ping. Coming to you a little late. Sorry about that. It's been a busy one. No video questions this week. I don't know what happened. People just couldn't do it. Couldn't pull the videos off. But we got some good written questions, so let's dive in here. First one. Hey Pingers, I'll make this quick. Number one, bring back the mustache. Can do. That's probably coming back end of the year. So if you liked it, it's coming back. If not, buckle up. It's going to be bigger and uglier than ever. And number two, does Josh Mosiman going 30-27 for 32 overall on a bone stock bike, suspension and all, give hope to all the privateers that they can succeed without a factory bike? And shouldn't we be celebrating this as a win for going racing without spending massive amounts of money? Thank you, Mike. Number one we talked about. That's the mustache coming back. Number two, it's super impressive. Josh rode great. It was actually fun. It just kind of gave us something to root for, or me anyway. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I was pulling for him. Josh is a great kid, and it was fun seeing what he could do knowing he was on stock equipment. Still, if we're being real honest with ourselves here, it was a pretty depleted field, and the difference between 32nd and a top 10 is massive, so are we celebrating that you can qualify and make the motos on a stock bike? Sure, that's great. Josh is a good rider, though. Not anybody can pull that off. So stoked that he got it done, and cool to see. I still think that the biggest difference between a factory bike and a privateer guy on a 450 is just chassis and handling and suspension. And in that realm, you can spend a lot of money. You know what the factory budget is to make Kenny's bike work well, handle well, Eli's bike, it's versus what a privateer probably has in the budget. Two different stratospheres. So that's a problem I don't see a real good answer to. Thanks for the question. Congrats to Josh for killing it. Next question coming from John S. says, thanks for what you do. I enjoy and appreciate your work. Thank you. Regarding bikes specifically developed for Supercross or MX, would there be an advantage to have a chassis developed for one discipline? KTM seems like the company that could have an MX model and a Supercross model. Is this a reasonable idea? Thank you for your time. So you're probably right. The only brand that could pull this would be the KTM group. They've got 3 brands to do it with, but I just don't think it makes any sense to develop a frame and an entire chassis for Supercross only. At the end of the day, you're selling these bikes to consumers. Who wants a Supercross chassis? Nobody, unless you're racing Anaheim. But if you pay attention, the swing arm on the Husky is different than the one on the KTM. And the subframes are different. And then the combination on the gas is even different again. So the difference in rigidity in both the subframe and the swing arm, particularly the swing arm, makes a big difference in the way that bike feels. Now, the problem with saying, oh, why don't you develop a Supercross chassis? People like different things. Not just making it more stiff or more rigid doesn't mean everybody likes that. Some guys want it to flex a little more, move a little more, feel softer. Some guys want it really, really rigid. So I think that's the problem with building a Supercross model. It's just not even across the board that way. What they've done, though, by having those different swing arms that are different rigidities, different types of flex, is they've now got different options for their guys to try. Hey, what do you try this one? Try this swing arm. They're all homologated. So I don't know specifically if there's any rules against swapping from one bike to another, but if you can tell the difference at first glance between a Husky and a KTM swing arm, well, you're doing better than me, because I got to take their word for it. I will say there is definitely a difference, though. And Cooper Webb would be a great example of this. Look how great he was in Supercross, killing it. Bike looked like it worked well. I mean, he could turn inside of people. I mean, Coop was killing it. You go outdoors, he's trying to ride probably the similar setup or same setup, obviously different suspension settings, but similar chassis, and it just wouldn't work. And they talked Roger into switching frames, going to something different, and I gotta believe he was looking for something a little more comfortable, a little more flex. And look what happened when he got that new frame. I mean, different guy completely. He was on the box a bunch there at the end of the season. So there definitely is different feels, but what he likes, Marv might not like, or, you know, vice versa. Just everybody has a different thing that they want to feel. So one frame and just calling it a Supercross setup, it's not really going to work that way. Appreciate the question. Thanks so much, John. Last one is from Brian Hunt. What is your take on Tomac switching to Yamaha and why? The last few years, those Yamahas looked like they turned like a freight train and handled like a shopping cart. I would think this would give him a little pause, to say the least. Don't get me wrong, it seems like Star Racing has really turned it around and the bikes as of this year look great. So it's just the money or what? Thanks. It's not the money at all. Eli Tomac took a massive pay cut this year going into 22. Massive pay cut. Here's the thing, though. You say the bike handled like a freight train or whatever. You're just looking at factory racing, okay? That stock YZ4TF won a bunch of shootouts the last 4 or 5 years. A bunch of them. Why? And then why does the factory bike look like a turd in the past? You know, that was a real big question. You can go to Vital's thread and find 10 different threads about the Blue Pig and why doesn't it work and what's going on. And I get it. It was confusing. And I think we got our answer this year. It has absolutely nothing to do with the motorcycle. Obviously, there's a huge difference between general consumer who wants to buy a bike off the showroom floor and go ride on the weekends or race locally, and what Dylan Ferrandis needs to win a championship. Those are completely different ends of the spectrum. And what we found out this year is it isn't the motorcycle, it was the factory race team. I don't know what they were doing wrong. My speculation is that some of those teams, and I think Kawasaki is one of them, Yamaha was one before they went to Star, that doesn't want to flex. They don't want to allow their riders, if Eli's saying, I need this fork, this is what's going to make me happy, for political reasons, for who knows what reasons, some of those teams are like, no, we got to stay with this fork. And we'll go test with you and make it work. And if it's in his head, or if there's something genuinely to it, he's like, I don't like this front end. They're too rigid and won't flex and won't do it. You go over to Star Yamaha and Bobby Regan and those boys, and if Dylan says, hey, I need this, Bobby Regan just says, okay, I'm on it. I'll let you know as soon as I have it. There's no question. He'll do whatever it takes. He's told his guys this. Whatever it takes, whatever we got to do, let's do it so that we can win. That's what we want to do. And you know what? I dare you to tell me that Dylan Ferrandis bike looked like it handled like a shopping cart this year. That's a fast shopping cart, I'll tell you that much. That guy crushed it. That bike looked amazing. And those Star guys did an awesome job. So kudos to them. I think the mystery of the blue machine has been solved. And there should be some people over there at the factory team maybe tucking their tail a bit, because they got made to look a little silly by the Star Boys. So anyway, thanks for the questions, Brian. Appreciate it. Send them in next week. If you got videos, shoot me a video. If not, you can write them in too. We'll answer them. I appreciate it. You guys have a great weekend. See ya.